Good morning everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity. And I'm laughing already because I just know it's going to be a calamitous one. Yes it is. Right, today we are going to attempt to do that carousel, and I've already split my package up and I want to do some really quick explanations. Right, first of all, you'll get these pieces, which are the largest pieces in your set. We will do measurements afterwards, and this is what you get. These are the pieces that I would say cut in your solid colours, yeah, and you've got a star, and thankfully you get two little baskets because you will need to cut 12. If you look at the holes here, you can see you've got 6 around the edges, which means your carousel will have 6 carriages, and then you've got your hole in the middle, in which you should pop a little wooden dowel. Now that's calamity number 1. I don't have any wooden dowels, so I'm going to be using straws in each of the holes and just praying, that it turns correctly. And as I say, you've got 2 carriage end pieces. Those are the ones I would cut in your solid colours. Now I have already gone ahead and cut my solid colours using heavyweight Amazon cardstock that I use, and I have to tell you, when I ordered it last month it was $11.99 a pack. I went back to order more and it had already gone up to $30. So, prices are just going crazy on everything at the moment. So I hope that you're able to get some heavyweight and affordable cardstock. Right, I have cut 12 of the little carriage ends. I've cut 2 stars because, of course, you've got 2 sides to your stand. And I've cut 2 of the inner wheels. Right, so those are done in white cardstock. You can choose whatever colour cardstock you want for your solid colours. I suppose it depends who you're gifting to, and I'm actually gifting this to myself, so today I'm just using stuff that I know I can live with while it sits on my craft table for a while. Right, the next bits, which I haven't cut out yet, are your layering up pieces that give you something fancy that goes on top of your white. And once again, you've got the star, you've got the carriage end layering pieces. There's 2 of those, and then there's 2 other little side pieces so that you can make it even more sturdy and more dimensional. And there is the stand, and you'll notice those are stitched except for this piece here, which is just smaller than this one here. And I've got another carriage end. Now people are always asking about what you do with your dies. Now I'm going to put my finger under there. You can see that that was connected to something else. Just take your snips and just twist it off. Really easy. You can keep whatever connected if it's going to be the same colour, and that's what I did. And then the colour that I'm choosing for these is going to be an assortment of Snap Click Supply, and this is Jodie Lee, and I'm trying to think what it's called now, Georgia Rose. Yeah, so these are from the Georgia Rose pack. You can see they're all distressed, kind of almost patriotic colours. And I've cut 4 of those, which I think I'm going to do my bigger pieces in. And then my little baskets, I think I'm going to switch between that red polka dot and that kind of like worn blue wallpaper. So that is going to be the colour predominant on my carousel. And that is what I'm going to cut with these. Okay, so that's that bit. Now you do have a base, and of course you've got the carriage boxes. Now I left this connected so you can see this too, and how I separate. There you go, that's it. That's the base for the baskets, and the little ends will go on so that you can see that. So those are for your carriages, this is for your base box. Now you can see there are frames in here too. Don't be afraid of them, just pull them out. Any rough ends that you've got, you can always snip them off, as I've just shown you there with the scissors. This one a little bit more difficult, just spin it. There you go. and that is out. And do the same to this one, because I know people get scared about breaking things. Don't, just twist it out gently. Any rough pieces, just get your pliers in there again and just trim them off. Right, so I will separate that exactly the same as I just separated this. So base box and carriage boxes. Now then, you will notice on here, this is where your dowel would go. I haven't got one. I'm going to be using these silver straws here from Dollar Tree. They're a little bit holographic, not too much, just a little bit. And if you remember, quite a few months ago, I bought some acrylic flowers from AliExpress so that I could do kind of pokey tool toppers and things. And there is a tiny small hole. Now, I know the straw won't fit in, but if I can hot glue to the ends there, then I'm going to have some nice sized turny handles, and you know, I kind of think that they'll be complementary altogether if I pop those down. And then for my straw ends going through the little carriage baskets, a little bit stuck on that, so what I'm going to try and use is what I've got in here. I'm going to try and pick out the largest ones of the silver flat back metallic pearls that I've got there, and hopefully that is going to work. So at some point I will of course be running off to plug in my hot glue gun, and there'll be quite a few pauses in this, but the first thing that I need to do now is go off and cut my solid layers and cut my basket sections, and I will be right back. So I just went away and did a bunch of die cutting. This is what I'd already cut before and I showed you. These are the carriages and the box base. So heavyweight cardstock again. If you're going to do something like this and you're going to gift it, it does need to be the best cardstock that you can get your hands on. And as you can see, these have a beautiful lace edge, and all of them need to be poked out, and you just take your poke tool and you just get rid of the debris. But I'm going to do the pokey off camera, and I will show you that after. Now I have cut a few of the colour pieces, the top layers of cardstock, and as I said, Jodie Lee, Georgia Rose. So I'm going for this really kind of worn out patriotic carousel kind of feel, because I feel then, you know, it's going to fit in with my decor and the things that I like. So where are all these pieces going to go? Now I can tell you that while I get them out, this is the base and the sides for the large box section that I just cut out. So I'm just going to pop those over there. I haven't yet cut out all the top layering pieces for the basket, so that's something I'll do when we get round to gluing that. Right, so we're going to do just one half, because if you see one half, you can see the other side is identical, and just to save time I will do that off camera. So I'm popping that over there. So we're going to need the, I'm going to call them the legs of the carousel, and I've chosen to do that kind of gingham plaid onto there, and you're going to have a nice even white border, so that will be glued onto there. And then you've got your carousel side, which will either go behind or on top, and you need to just sort of like get that correctly onto there, and that will level up. I'll move this down just a fraction so that you can see. Whoops, all those little baskets, and that goes onto there. And then for the star, I've chosen the distressed blue floral onto the white, and that is going to be glued onto there. Of course you could go like that if you wanted to, but it is supposed to go like that. So that's just another layer that's going to make it really sturdy, and of course it needs to be, because whoever you're gifting to, or even for yourself, you need to be able to spin it around, which is where these flowers will come into it. So that's basically what will go there, and that will be my turny doodah bit. Right, so to glue these, I've got my Dollar Tree glue, and I'm going to put my glue to the smaller side, which is the colour card stock. Make sure I haven't got an air bubble in my bottle. Now on the baskets I'm going to be using double-sided tape because it would take absolutely forever for me to hold wet glue in place while they dry. So I'm just going to squiggle. And because this is also a project really that you've got to put a little bit of effort into, you want to make sure that it's going to stay together and be sturdy enough. Now, you know that I can't really see my camera, so I'm hoping that I get stuff evenly. And I can see here that I'm skewiff on my border. So while your glue's still wet, just scoot your stuff over where it needs to be. I think that's even. And then just press it down. So as easy as that to put the layer onto the leg. If I hold that up, you can see it. You've got a good even border all the way around. And then I'm just going to glue my little star. And once again, you're going to need an even border. So I do try to do things that kind of make my videos as short as possible. And this one might run over 30 minutes. And to be honest, it's not just, I don't want you to sit there forever and be bored. It's that it takes many, many hours to upload anything really that's over 10 minutes long. And I know that a lot of people on YouTube make theirs months in advance when they're doing some videos because they take so long to do. And I know that I could edit, but I don't like to edit. I like you to see everything. So that is the little star, and that looks pretty even all the way around. And then we've got the, don't know what you call that part of the carousel. I'm going to call it the swirly twirly bit, the bit that spins. There's technicality for you. Once again, you want glue on all the important bits. And if I stop talking, you know me, I'm concentrating or having fun. So glue's going down into all the bits that matter. Oops, move that out of the way. Bit round there, bit round there. Forgot that bit. And go around there. Do you know, it's a terrible thing. I haven't had a mistake yet. I'm sure something's going to happen. Right. So I think that's enough glue onto there. So I'm going to flip that over. And then you've just got to marry up the holes and stuff. Give yourself a nice even border again. Slide your glue around. And I think that should be correct. Yeah, I've got my holes covered. Smooth that out. Yep. So I've got that. And I'm pretty sure that goes into there. Like that. And then that one will go on top of there. So that's the first part of the carousel. And you'll certainly know how to do the other half, which is what I'm going to run away and do right now. Right, so I've now cut 2 each of those, glued them, and you saw what the first lot looked like, so I can put those over to the side now. The next thing I'm going to do is the box that goes at the base of the carousel, cut in white. Obviously this has got to be folded up and created into a box, and I am going to use double-side adhesive to do this. And you've also got a layer and you've got 2 fancy sides. So what I will do is this way around, and you need to get your sides onto your box. You need to also make sure that you're looking at it correctly. So these bits will fold over and in, which will give you a double sort of like security and density to your box. Because as I said, you know, if it's going to move around, it can't be flimsy. These will just be folded up once, but then this will be the inside of your box. So you're going to want to have to glue that in. Now you can do that at the end, or you can do it now, and I'm going to do mine now, and hopefully I'm going to get it in straight. So just going to run my glue around the edge again and put some in the middle just to hold it down. And this is, you know, if you're somebody that watches me quite often and watches my disasters, you'll know I use Dollar Tree glue. I do like it. I think it's $1.25 now, but, you know, still an absolute bargain. Now I'm going to try and get this within the guidelines of those folds. And I need, of course, to get it straight. I'll pull that over just a little bit, and I think that that is in the center. So this is the base of the box that we're looking at now, and then I'm going to flip it over because this will be the outside sides, these two sections here. So I'm going to put some glue onto my little bits. Sometimes I get an airlock when I've used my glue bottle for too long, but thankfully that hasn't happened at the moment. And occasionally I look up, you know, just to make sure that I hit play. So I could just be sitting here talking to myself for nothing. I don't know how many other people watching have done it, but I've thought that I pressed play on the camera before now, and I hadn't. And I've created entire projects, and you know, and there was nothing there, or I forgot to put the volume on, and created a whole video without volume. That's quite hilarious, actually. Right, let's get this one on. Try to put it in the same position as I've done that one. And I'm a little higher up to the top than I am the base. So I think that's it. I'm going to go with that. And hopefully it's straight. Right, so I'm going to leave that for a few seconds to make sure it's dry properly, and I'll be right back. Okay, I think that's sufficiently dry. And I've got my little side pieces, and I've got my base, and of course it needs to be folded, so you've got perforation lines there. I'm just going to bend that up. I hope you can see that. And I'm going to do the same with the other side. Just bend it up gently towards you on those perforation lines. And then this bit, you can see there's a perforation. We're going to fold that into the box, so lay it down again and just go up on that perforation line and just give it a little press with your fingers, and then you start to see which bits are going where. So I'm going to do the same thing here and bend that. Right, we can see that we need some tape or glue down in this area, and we're also going to need tape on the edges here when they tuck inside. So go ahead and kind of build your box without using any glue or tape first, just so that, you know, you're absolutely sure where everything needs to go. Now, if I'm a little bit blurred, I'm sorry, it's quite bright now at the moment. So I've got that tucked in, and then I can see, I'm going to lift it up. You've got your little bits there, and those would glue on those bits there. So I folded those. I'm going to pop them back down again while I fold these. Once again, you've got a perforated line to make it easier for you. So you can fold that and bring it up. So if I hold that and I turn it sideways, you can see there where it's all been bent. Now these pieces, if I bend that, right, I'm pretty sure that that will go to the edge like that, because I can't see it going anywhere else. And I'm going to pick the legs up just to have a look to see if that bit gets angled right down to the bottom like that, or if it stands up straight. So that's a very important thing to look at. So I'm going to look at it straight, and straight it looks fine, and if I angle it down, that wouldn't be right. So it needs to be straight. So now I can see where my tape needs to go, and I've got some here, and this tape is from AliExpress. So I'm just going to peel a bit off here, and I can see where it tucks in. So I'm just going to go right onto the edge of this and just tear it off. Got any little bits of tape that are hanging out that look a bit, you know, messy or ugly, it's okay, because you can always trim it off with your scissors before you go ahead and fold it, which I have. So I'm just going to grab a pair of scissors, and while you're looking at the box there, you can see that little straggle that's just sticking out. Just get your scissors and just trim it off. And I've got another straggle over here, so I'm just going to trim that off too. So now we're nice and tidy. Now with these bits here, I'm trying to fathom out if it goes inside or outside, and I'm pretty sure that those little tabs go to the inside, because that would be the tidiest configuration. So I will actually apply a little dot of glue onto those, but first of all I'm going to pull these off and roll the insides in. So pull that piece of tape away and just fold that down neatly, and that's now glued into position. See that? It's doubled over and it's nice and sturdy. Going to do the same to this one. And fold it over. Got a little tiny straggle there. So we've got that portion of our boxes. And then I'm going to pop glue on those edges, and then I will run away while they dry. So I'm just trying to think how I would have it, whether it would be to the outside or to the inside. I actually think it would be to the inside, so it wouldn't need any glue, because your tape is going to go along this edge, isn't it? Yeah, that's going to actually be taped onto there, so I don't need to glue that at all. What I need to do is flip my box over again and put tape to the outside edges here. So I'm going to do that right now. This is the first time that I've ever done one, and I'm going to go off edge slightly, because I'm going to trim it up with my scissors. I'm going to do the other side. So as I say, you know, a project like this takes a little bit of time, but as long as you you know, put the effort into making it sturdy, it's a very worthwhile project and a great item to gift. Now you can see where I'm hanging off the edges with my tape, and you don't really want that. So just trim those horrible bits away. Otherwise, when you put stuff into your little box at the bottom, it's going to be sticking on stuff. I'll get rid of that bit as well. Right. Now, the bit that I want to work on next is going to be the carriages, and I haven't cut the fancy pieces of paper for those yet, so we will have to come back for that. But I am going to pop that into there. Yeah, I'm going to remove the tape. Tucking that in, and I hope you can see that. I am going to get my leg. I'm going to line it up correctly. Get it nice and square there. And I'm just going to run that down so that when I lift it up, it's in the correct place. And I'm going to do the same on this side and take my tape off. I'm going to get my other little leg. Make sure you got it the right way around. You know what I'm like for getting stuff back to front. Oh, dearie me. I can be absolutely terrible. I'm making sure that that is absolutely square there. Butted up to the edge and pushing down. Let's look at that side. Look at this side, and that's looking all right. So now we've got you can see what that looks like. And I do actually think that now I can apply some glue on those little tabs, and I'm going to have to hold it in position like that for a few seconds. So you can see where I'm going to put glue onto all of these little bits and tuck them in there. So I'll be right back. Okay, so that's glued, and you know, sort of like looking down into it, you can see how it is. Obviously, once you've got your straw or your dowel rod through there, that's going to come up straight. But just to give you a close-up there of how it should be, you can see what it looks like on the edges, how it is on the inside. And there's the sides there. So that's what we've got so far. And what I'm going to do now, before I run away and cut the rest of the pieces and do the basket, I'm just going to glue my stars onto here. And I'm going to do that now. And they're just going to sit on top of this bit. So I'll just glue one. I'm sticking some glue onto it. I'm sorry if it's off camera, but I will pick it up and show it to you. Right, that's what it looks like. I've got it all covered in glue there, and I'm just going to pop it down into here. I'm going to make sure that I've got it level, so I'm just going to scoot it around. Covering that red polka dot bit that's underneath it. And I hope that that is straight. It doesn't look too bad, but that is really solid now. Because it's like 4 layers of cardstock on that star section. It's going to give it a good press down, and that's the side piece that is going to go onto there once it's on straight. So that's how that bit's going to look. And one of the things that I'm going to do today, somebody's always asking me, can they see my garden? Well, actually, there's not that much to see at this time of the year. But because this is so big, I think what I'm going to do is take it outside and photograph it. So you'll get a glimpse of my garden that way. That's what I'm going to say. And of course, our little flower piece is going to go there. So I'm going to finish this and cut the bits for the basket, and then let's make one of the baskets, and then I'll make the other 5 off camera. Okay, so I've been off and I've cut all the parts necessary to complete all 6 baskets, and I've also taken out some of the larger metallic pearls there, just to make sure that I've got enough to do what I need to do. And I've also finished poking out these. So you've got 6 baskets. Obviously you need to cut 6 baskets. You're going to need 12 sides, one each side of the basket. You're going to need 12 pattern side pieces, and you're also going to need 12 layering up pieces. And what will happen with this is it gives it a little bit of extra sturdiness to the side. And then you've got decorative side pieces. You'll need 12 of those, and then you'll need 6 that will fit inside the little tray area here. So we're going to make 1, and then I am going to go off camera, complete the other 5, and then we're going to put it together. Right, so to make 1 basket, you're going to need 2 of your sturdy white card. You're going to need 1 basket base piece. I'm just moving a few things out of the way here. You're going to need 2 of your decorative tops there. So we've got 2 of those, and we're going to need 2 decorative sides. So there's 2 of those. We're going to need 1 base, and we're going to need 2 decorative side pieces. So these I'm just going to move completely out of the way so that we don't get confused. Right, so those are all those bits, and I'm moving them over to my other baskets. Right, so if we look at this again, just exactly the same as the tray. Kind of build it before you put any tape on it, because that way you know where pieces are going. So I'm just going to fold on the score line, and I'm going to fold on the score line. Now looking at this, I'm thinking this bit folds out towards me rather than folding in. So I'm kind of wondering here. I think I'm folding that way and then folding that out so that your pretty bit is to the outside. Yeah, so I'll talk about that again in a minute to make sure we're not confused here. So I'm pretty sure the pretty bit goes to the outside, and then of course you're going to have your side panels, both sides. So let's fold these up onto the innards. As I say, you've got score lines there, which makes it super easy. You can use a bone folder if you want to, but honestly, I don't think it's necessary, because if you just gently push with your fingers, it does go down. Now, when we look at these side pieces here, we can see that they are angled. That means you've got to get your angle and you've got to fasten it on just like that. I hope you can see that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to layer up my pieces. I'll do one section aside and then do the others, because as I say, I'm always looking at my clock. So onto your decorative piece again, which is smaller. That's the one you want to apply your glue to, not to your actual heavyweight base piece, because then you'll just be guessing where the glue is going, if you know what I mean. So onto your pattern piece, and hopefully we're going to get a nice even. That needs to be straight onto there. I might need to pick it up just towards myself just to have a look. push that down and across, and that looks square to me on the whole anyway. So I'm just going to go with that. So that's one of the side basket pieces, and then we're going to need one of these. I was going to put some glue on here. And that will go onto here. Little border again all the way around the edge. I need to make sure that it's straight. Just moving it around. And it's kind of onto the stitch line that you're putting it. So that's your little decorative side piece. And because that's 3 layers of cardstock, it's really, really sturdy. Right, I'm just going to do the other side and I'll be back. Right, so I finished the 2 end pieces, and now we know that this is the inside, and our little tray piece needs to go in there, our little decorative piece. And of course it's always easier to kind of, well, it is for me, to get stuff like this in while it's still relatively flat. So I'm just going to pop some glue onto there and stick it in, and hopefully I can get it quite even. I don't think I did too bad on the sides. You just kind of have to put your pieces up to the stitch sections. So here's my little tray piece, and of course this also adds even more strength to the inside of your box, or shall I say your little carousel carriage. I think it's called a carriage or a bucket. Don't know what they call it on a carousel. So there's my little base piece inside that's going to make that look pretty, and of course those bits are going to come up. But I need to get my dotty paper on the outside, so I'm just going to flip that over and do those edges there. Get that bit out, and then hopefully I can get this straight. And what I'll try to do on this is try to go a little bit lower down to the edge so that I can, you know, really see the dotty paper, because you've got that lovely frill edge, and I don't really want to hide too much dot underneath that. So let's pop this one on here. I don't want to go right on the crease line because then you wouldn't be able to fold it. But I think that is pretty central on there. So I've got that. I'm just going to do the other one. Sorry if I'm off camera. I'm busy gluing. But I will move that over to there and bring this up. And then do the same thing here. I want to go quite close to that edge, but not on it. And I think that that is straight. I'll go with that. Right, so that's our little carousel bucket carriage. And that will fold up. That piece will fold up. Obviously get any fluff off. You can bend your pieces back in now. Fold your lace down. I don't actually want to glue my lace. I think you can actually, you know, glue it into position, but I kind of like that dimension. I mean, if it catches while it's spinning, I might rethink that, but the sides have got to be glued onto there. So as I'm going to use wet glue, I'm going to go away and do that and come back. Right, so I've completed that one, and you can see how I've got mine. I've got my lace hanging out because I quite like it. But personally, what I would do is I would double up on this entire section, um, just so that I didn't have to see those innards. And maybe that is the way that it's meant to be, but I just haven't cut those. But if you look at that and you put that in, what a lovely finish, because you can't see the innards then. So it might be that at the end I run off and cut a bunch of these just so that I can pop them in and hide all the workings, just make it a nicer finished project. But that's what we've got so far. So I'm going to run away and I'm going to do the next 5, and then we're going to put it together. Right, so I completed all the little carriages, baskets, whatever it is you want to call them. And the next thing is to insert the straws. So you need to kind of measure exactly what you're going to need here. And I'm going to say straws for this need to be 3 inches. So I'm going to do just one because I don't want to destroy my straws and not have enough. And I'm going to be able to get 2 pieces out of each straw. So I'm just going to use a regular pair of scissors, and then, you know, I'm just going to measure my first one, and I've got the scissors over that area, and then I'll have to use something in a second just to go back in and make that look round again. I'm looking for my pokey tool to do it. So I'm just going to go back in with my pokey tool and make it circular again. So, because of course when you cut straws, sometimes they can crush. So let's poke that into our basket and see if I did the right thing there. Okay, yeah, that doesn't look to me like it's going to fall out, if you know what I mean. And these little pearls are going to be hot glued onto the end to stop that straw from falling out. So I'm just going to trim the rest of my straws to 3 inches, enough for these baskets, and turn on my hot glue gun, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm straight back, having realised my error and having cut 6 pieces to 3 inches. That's actually totally incorrect, because if you look at your base, those star-shaped spinners have to go onto the outside of your base. And if I measure the base, it is a fraction over 3.5 inches. So really, my straws should be 4 inches and certainly not 3 inches. So thankfully, I still have enough straws, and I'm now going to be cutting them to 4 inches. Okay, so my glue gun has been getting hot off to the side, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my turning knobs for the wheel on. I'm going to hot glue those down first, and of course the straw section is going to go between them. So I'm just going to hopefully apply a little bit of hot glue here. I'm hoping that it's heated up sufficiently, and I've got to get that down in the centre, and I hope that that's in the middle. I'm pretty sure that it is. So that's my first centre section, and I'm going to be using the flower to spin the carousel. It's at this point that I usually start making mistakes, but I do love these acrylic flowers. And I think they were only a couple of bucks from AliExpress. I've had them forever. So, well, not forever. I think I bought them last year. So it's just nice to, you know, be able to use something. You see how nice that's filled in now? That means I can have a straw section and just fasten it down. So it's 4 inches as well, the same size as the ones I've cut for the carriages. And now I'm going to fill just the one end because it has to be threaded through the stand. So I've got some on there, and I need to get it in the middle there. So that needs to dry. I do love my glue gun. It was a free gift, and I did review it quite a few months ago. Can you see that? That straw is in the centre. And then this is going to be my turny wheel, my flower. So into your stand, which is what we made right at the beginning, if I tip that on its side, this has to go here like that. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. I'm trying to actually think about fastening the carriage on, because the bars are going to hit. Does this go on the inside? Now that's something to think about, isn't it? Because it's so decorative. You could be, you know, I might have to pull my flower off now. Yeah, it does. It goes on the inside. Right, so I'm going off camera to pull my flower off very carefully. Right, and I'm back. So this bit obviously has to go to the inside. Otherwise your straws would be bashing on the outside, if you know what I mean. So that has to go just like that. Pay attention. Don't do what I just did. And so now I've done that one. I need to flip it over so that I can have a good look here, because of course I've got to take this one off as well, because I've done the same thing, and I'm just being really careful not to tear my paper, and I'm just prizing it off. You can see the kind of mess it's made, but it's just not that bad really. And then this has got to go on the inside, and it goes like that. So everything can just drop down for a minute while I pop some glue into the straw. Remember, when you're using hot glue, you can always tidy the strands up afterwards. And so now my flower needs to go into the centre there. And I'm hoping I got that in the centre, because I can't see. And of course you don't want any hot glue on your standy bit, because this has got to spin freely. So hot glue on my finger, and I'm just going to let that dry just for a second, and I'll be right back. Right, so that's dry, and I just want to quickly flip it so that you can see how it should be. These wheels should move freely, but once you've got your carriages in there, they will be held in place but free to spin. So that's how it should look. Right, so next up we need to hot glue our straws onto our little silver pearls here that I'm using. I'm going to spread them out. This is a little bit fiddly, so I'm going to put just a dot of glue there. I don't want to burn myself. And then I'm just going to squidgy the straw into the centre. So that's what you end up with. Kind of weird looking nail made with a straw. And then the idea of that, of course, is bring the stand back over again, and that will thread through there, and that pearl is going to stop that straw from dropping out or coming through. And you will then get a carriage, basket, whatever it is you want to call it, I can't see that at the moment, and go through that hole just like that, and through the next hole. In fact, if I stand it up, it's going to be a lot better. And I'm just moving across here, trying to line it up. Right, so I hope you can see that. That's basically how it's going to go, except it's going to be spread out. and then you're going to have a nail on the other side there, and of course that's going to swing. If I move it over there, it's because of the weight, it's going to pull itself down to me until I get the others on, which will balance it. So that's looking all kind of messy at the moment, so I don't mean that to, and a little bit confusing, but you'll see when we stick the baskets in. So right, I've just stuck one on, and I'm going to put one on the end of each of these and come straight back. So here are my weird looking straw nail heads. Just a straw with a half a pearl glued to the top, and I did try to get them centre. So that's what I've got. And now I've got to bring the base back in, which is this bit, and you can see that these bits are swinging freely, and they have to, so that you can turn it. And I hope I've got that correct. That's all I can say. And to do this now, you need to go through a hole. You need to take a basket and go through a hole. Go through the other side of your basket, line it up with a hole here, and then you're going to glue another pearl onto here. So I'm going to do one, and then I'm going to finish it off and come back. So I've got a nice little blob of glue around the edge there. As I said, trim your strings off at the end. Another pearl added, which will stop that from falling back through the hole because it's wider than the hole. Obviously that takes a few seconds to dry. I hope it's in the centre. Now, as you can see, that needs to be a lot shorter. I mean, I could have been right with my 3 inches right at the very beginning, to be honest with you, because that just can't be hitting that on the outside, because if it does, of course your wheel is just not going to spin. So I need to pop that within there, straighten it up and look at it. I'm going to get my ruler. This is why I don't edit and I leave everything in. And I'm going to study the size of that, which is 3.5 inches. And I reckon because of the depth of the pearls, and if you've got pearls like this, you'll know, I think that my straws should be 3.25 inches, so that they're not going to bash on the outside. So I'm going to trim this off to 3.25 inches, and then I'm going to have to pull that apart and repair it, and I'll be right back. Okay, so shortening the straw worked, and you can see now that it now swings freely within the box. Now, you're not really going to get any, if you look at the top there, it looks all wobbly. You're not going to get any real structure until you start adding the other ones, which will, you know, support it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go away and glue my shorter straws in and put my baskets in and come straight back. Well, I just wanted to quickly show you that when you've got like 3 baskets in, you start to see that you've got a better balance of everything. So I'm just going to carry on with the other 3. Right, so I've got all the baskets on, and I've had to lie it down so that you can see the whole thing, but I am going to take it outside and take a photograph of it so that you'll be able to see it right at the very beginning. But that's basically sideways on my camera, what I'm able to show you. And that bit has fallen down because, of course, it's lying down, but that's up there. And then the whole thing just spins. But what I wanted to do before you go away is measure it. And I am going to tell you that it does, all of the dies will fit into a standard die cutting machine. Your finished project is 8 inches tall, and then it is 5¼ inches wide. That's from the side view. And then it's I'm going to say, 3 5/8 for the size of, the carriage section. So anyway, I'm just going to lie it down again, which is not ideal, but you can see like the colours that I've chosen and what have you, because that's basically what's going to fit in my craft room. And you can do them in whatever colour you want to. They can be really bright and circusy for a child's birthday, and just pour brightly coloured jelly beans into each of those baskets. Or if it's for somebody who enjoys sewing, then, colours like this would be nice, and you could put a reel of cotton into each basket. But it was really enjoyable to do, and I can tell you that my total make time on and off camera, I would say comfortably 2.5 hours. That's how long it would take you to do this first time. Once you've done one, I reckon you could probably knock 30 to 40 minutes off that. But this was my first time, and it doesn't look particularly good here, although I do have to say it's a fabulous colour. I am going to take it out now and photograph it, and that should be the image that appears at the beginning of the video. But it's just great to, get close-ups of like what the pearls look like on the straws and what the stitching looks like on all of those gorgeous little elements. So that's basically what I've got for you today, and I spent a good hour with you. How was that? I hope you all managed to drink your coffee and eat your breakfast, because I know some of you come up on here really, really early. But I do thank you so much for watching, especially if you watched it all. And I am going to be up tomorrow with a Panalisa design team haul. Have an absolutely awesome day, and as usual, all links below. Bye.